This week, Apple's losing control of the App Store, Netflix is getting into games, and Disney is expanding its lineup. It's Sunday, November 14th, 2021, and this is episode 610 of F5 Live, Refreshing Technology, a proud part of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. Now, wherever you are and however you're accessing our show, whether it be on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or Snapchat, through a podcatcher like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, TuneIn, or a myriad of other options through our live streaming platforms, livestream.com, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, or of course on our website, PLUGHITZlive.com. Thank you for making us a part of your day. There are two ways that you can do that. The first is Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern. You can go to f5live.tv/join us. There you can chat with us in the studio and give us your feedback on the topics as we talk about them. If you can't do that, that's okay. PLUGHITZlive.com/subscribe is the way to see all of our shows, including F5 Live, Piltch Point, PLUGHITZ Live Presents, and a whole lot more, and see all the ways that you can watch, listen, and follow along. Now, this week, we did something interesting. We've been talking about doing it for a little while. We did another PLUGHITZ Live Unplugged. If you didn't get to catch it live, definitely go back to our YouTube channel and check it out. Alante and I did, and I'm not exaggerating here, 4 hours of blind reacts to holiday gift guides. And we only got through a portion of what we wanted to. So we're not done. There will be more. Sometime this week we will do more. And so if you're following us on YouTube or on Twitch, that is the place to see all of that content. So follow us over on Twitch, and then you'll be able to see when we go live, which is obviously the important part of doing a follow. Anyway, Avram, how are you doing? I can't hear you.
All right. I mean,
there we go.
It's been a week, and it's going to be a couple weeks.
Indeed it is.
We just went back to the office for a couple of days this week, so it's my first time commuting in a while.
Sure.
It takes me like an hour and 15 minutes door to door to go from here to my office at work. I mean, that's what it was before the pandemic, so the new office is about the same distance, actually maybe like a block closer than the old one, but it's definitely a challenge. I think the biggest issue with any new office, with any working from home, besides the commute time, which now it's like that's 2.5 hours. I had to do other stuff like maybe more work. I also have to be more conscientious about my comings and goings than I do when I'm working from home. So like the trains leave at certain times, right? If people are taking the subway, that doesn't matter, but I take the Long Island Railroad, so that has a schedule, right? And they so if I want to catch like the 5:20 train, I have to leave my office by like 4:55 to make it. So if it's 4:30 and I just finished what I'm doing, a task, then there's the question, do I start reading another article, editing another article? Do I start writing another thing? But I gotta leave here at 4:55 or else I'm going to catch a later train, which often happens, or I'll just be chatting with someone and be like, oh, wait a second, I'm sorry, I gotta cut this short, I gotta leave. Whereas when I'm working from home, it's like, oh, okay, I'll just work on this until I'm done with it. And then, I don't have to be as conscientious about I have to leave at this time. But so that's, I guess that's always a difference for people going to work in an office and not. Although I suppose if you have a car and you're just commuting with your car, you just say, okay, fine, I'm going to reach a stopping point and go to my car. But when you have a particular schedule, and that matters because like the next train will be another half an hour, so I might get home
Right.
much later. And if I get home too late, then my kids will already have had dinner, and I don't want that. So,
Yeah, you miss family time and
that's
stuff like that.
that's I mean that's just part and parcel of the package. And then I guess the other thing is just trying to get comfortable in a different workspace. So here at home, I have had things, although it looks like a mess. I have had things really laid out for me. Like I've got 4 monitors here, and I've got a
Right.
really powerful desktop, and I've got my keyboard and my wrist rest and my podcast mic and these nice wireless headphones, and like I've got everything set up the way that I like it for maximum comfort and productivity. Even my chair, right?
Right.
And I come into an office and like it's different. I have to
Hmm.
try and get things set up to be more um, comfortable for me, whether that's bringing in a better keyboard, uh, making sure I brought all my wrist rests with me, and making sure trying to get the company to give me like at least 2 monitors, so I have that. Trying to get to set up the chair so it's good on my back.
So you
It's
don't
it's
hate it. Yeah.
those all seem like little things, but they add up.
Sure.
And I'm sure that I mean I'm a firm believer that everyone in their own work is an artist, and an artist needs their tools,
Hmm.
right? So everybody should have the best tools that they can to make them the most comfortable so that they can concentrate on like the meat of their work, the creative
Hmm.
part, the part that requires a brain, um, and not necessarily not have to concentrate on the minutia, the little things like, oh
Yeah.
man, my computer's slow and I got to click this, or oh wow, I got to figure out, you know, oh wow, my back hurts, I got to deal with that. Like you should be able to really focus on the important things.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
it's an adjustment that I'm making. I do really enjoy seeing my colleagues again in person. That's pretty cool. And also, and we'll get into this a little bit in the Piltch Point segment tonight. I have to get used to our rule in the office is as is actually I think the law in our state, uh, is that we got to wear masks. So the in the office all day. So that's something that I've had to get used to,
Yeah.
and that's been another point of adjustment. So, you know, you gotta you gotta adjust. But
Yeah.
I do think I have gained a new appreciation for working from home before these before these 18 months happened. I was the last person to want to work from home, or no, don't make me work from home. There's too many distractions at home. I like to go in and see my friends. I like the
Yeah.
distance of like getting out of the house, being on I even liked the commute. It was like get me out of get me out of my house. But now just looking at like the some of the things that you get from remote work, like like the added commute time and all that, I
Hmm.
really see why there were a lot of people before this pandemic who are like, no, 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 it's great working from home.
Yep. I've been doing it for many years at this point. Uh, God, I think we shut down the. I was looking at it recently. I think we shut down the Tampa office like 5 or 6 years ago. And I've been working from home ever since. I'm fortunate. I know everybody's not this. I'm fortunate to have been able to set up a space that is work, so that I still have that demarcation line. When I'm done, when I'm done working for the day, I'm done working for the day if I want to be. But yeah, when I started this new job, I was accepting it before the lockdowns. And I did my new hire paperwork after the lockdowns. I did all my new hire paperwork remotely. But as I was accepting it, I'm thinking, oh, are they going to make me come into the office? Oh, no. And then they sent me, because everything was remote, they sent me these 2 monitors. And I'm like, oh, they've sent me 2 monitors. That's nice. And I looked at them like, oh, they're 24s. What am I going to do with 24s? I'm going to use them to prop something up, maybe. They're going to take up.
I'm not
going to take up space in my space. Now they're going to take up space. I was fortunate to be able to get into the office for about 10 minutes, so I took the monitors over there and abandoned them.
Yeah.
But in my head, I'm thinking the same thing you are. I'm like, well, here I've got my multi-monitor set up, and there I don't. Here I've got my big computer. There I don't. Though in fairness, for my development work, I use a laptop provided by the client anyway. But it is a portable server they sent me. It's a Xeon processor with 64 gigs of RAM. This thing is a beast, so I'm not sad about it. But yeah, I mean, the idea of having 2 spaces like that was not appealing to me. So I get it.
I mean, I think it's fair to say without talking just about my job or my company, that it's almost always the case that whatever a company gives you as a standard issue thing is never as good as what you would pick for yourself, because they're not interested in what's, they're just being efficient. So like, here's the company laptop, here's the company monitor, here's the company keyboard, here's the company desk, here's the company chair. And I don't think, there's a lot of people in jobs that just don't care. Like, sure, whatever you give me is fine with me. But for me, I want it my way, right? And so it depends. The last thing I'll say about this is when I worked at about.com, which I did for 9 years, at one point we moved into a new office and they were buying these fancy Herman Miller Aeron chairs for people. And I said, I don't like the Herman Miller Aeron chair. That's the chair with all the mesh in the back of it. It's like was at the time at least like $1,000 chair. I said, listen, I don't like the $1,000 chair. How would you guys be okay with me buying whatever chair I want at Office Depot and having it shipped here, and you reimburse me for that? And we were a small enough company at that moment that they were okay with it, right? Most places would not. And so I bought this green leather chair, and I had it, and I loved that thing. And I had it with me for like the rest of the 9 years I was there. We moved offices a bunch of times, and I had to make sure that my chair came with me because they would put all the chairs together, and we moved the office, and I'd find my chair in the conference room or something. When I came back, I was like, no, that's my chair, the green leather one. I'm bringing it to my desk. So I had this chair for like 9 years. And when I left after 9 years, they threw me a going away party, and they gave me like some clippings from the chair. They clipped some of the leather off of the chair or something and gave it to me in like a frame. I don't know what happened to that, actually. I should find it. But they clipped some of the leather off, the green leather off the chair, off my chair, and like, So anyway, I don't know.
I was not prepared for that ending.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, that was nice of them. I had a nice going away party there. Anyway, so anyway, back to regular stuff, but I'm getting used to it, I guess.
Well, that's good, because it's your only choice, right? You got to get used to it and back into the groove. So speaking of getting into the groove, let's get into the news. This week's Nifty Gifties on F5 Live is proudly powered by the Microsoft Store. Whether you're looking for a new laptop, a tablet, desperately seeking an Xbox, new games, and a whole lot more, you can get them at the Microsoft Store. And remember that current students, faculty, parents, and active military can save up to 10% on almost everything. To browse the products and learn more about the discounts, you can go to f5live.tv/Microsoft. So, probably one of the biggest tech topics of the last year, certainly probably the biggest tech legal topic of the last year has been the Apple Epic Games lawsuit. Lots of interesting things have happened there. If you haven't been following along with us, you may not know that there were 10 counts charged by Epic against Apple. Apple won in 9 of the 10. The 10th one was demand that Apple add the ability into their policies or technology or whatever the rules were to allow developers to include third-party payment options, or at least links to third-party payment options. They lost on that one, so Apple was forced to do it. They were given a deadline. The deadline has been coming up. Apple asked for an indefinite stay on the order, essentially asking that it not be enforced until all appeals have been exhausted. And the judge this week said, no, absolutely not. You could have asked for an extension and I would have considered it, but yeah, no indefinite stay of this order. You asked for 10 additional days, you get 10 additional days, and that is it. So Apple has a couple of weeks to get this into place. They have said that they will appeal both the original ruling and the dismissal here, but that's a big move to have said, no, can we just pretend this doesn't exist until all of our appeals are completed in 3 or 4 years? That's a ballsy request, I think. What do you think, Avram?
Yeah, look, they're trying. Every day is money, right?
Right.
Every day they put it off as money, right?
True.
So that's what they're trying to do. Every day they put it off is more money in their pocket that they're trying to make. So yeah, of course they're gonna try to delay it as long as they possibly can.
But they could have asked for a longer extension. The judge basically said, if you had asked for a longer extension, we'd be having a different conversation right now. But you didn't. And so here we are. You get 10 days. End of conversation. That's interesting to me, because I would have said, give us 90 days. And the judge would have been like, okay, you can have an extra 90 days. But can we delay this 3 or 4 years until all of our appeals are complete? I didn't have any expectation that was going to go their way. Apparently they did. That seems silly to me.
It's not the death penalty, you know. It's like
True.
They seem to think that they can just they don't have to actually act on it until all the appeals are exhausted.
Right. Yeah. And the judge said that, so is this the quote? Yeah. So, in short, Apple's motion is based on a selective reading of this court's findings and ignores all of the findings which supported the injunction, namely incipient antitrust conduct, including super competitive commission rates resulting in extraordinarily high operating margins, and which have not been correlated to the value of its intellectual property. So they basically said, this would cause irreparable harm. And the judge said, no, I think you've caused irreparable harm.
Yeah. Well, sorry, Apple. I guess it's you're out of luck.
What I find most interesting about all of this, and something that a lot of people have pointed out, is the fact that this ruling will not affect Epic Games, who brought the case in the first place. Because one of the other requests of the court was to force Apple to allow Fortnite back into the store, and that one Epic lost on. So while Apple is being forced to allow third-party payment systems, Fortnite got kicked out of the store for a third-party payment system, but Apple was not forced to allow them back in. So
Right. So this is a Pyrrhic victory, right? They
right.
I guess if someone who's in the store, if someone who's in the store tries to implement a third party payment system now, then I guess they can, but
Yes.
it doesn't mean they have to let them in.
Right. So that is a fascinating aspect of this. The company that brought the case in the first place, who theoretically won on this one count, will not be able to enjoy the fruits of that labor because they're still not allowed back into the store. Unfortunate.
Well, like a lot of court cases, it's more theoretical than helpful to that particular company, but Epic still gets some appeals, right? And
Yes.
and
So
and there's still
every
the possibility,
every ruling here is temporary.
right? There's also the possibility we talked about the other day about Apple having to allow side loading, right?
Right.
So that would also solve. Well, it's not as good a solution for Epic's problem, but it would solve Epic's problem a little bit,
Right.
right? Because the
But
best solution is to be in the Apple Store.
if you're side loading, you probably weren't going to be using Apple's payment system anyway.
Right. But I mean, the reason that Epic doesn't want to use a third party payment system is they don't want to give Apple commission, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Certainly not
so the bottom
30%.
line is, yeah. So the bottom line is, if you don't want to give Apple commission, you now can use a third party payment system,
Mm-hmm.
or possibly in the future you may be able to have someone sideload your app, although sideloading is never going to be as popular of a way to distribute an app as being in the main app store. And
Right.
being in a third party app store will never be as popular either. Like you need to be, the prime real estate is to be in Google Play for Android and to be in
Mm-hmm.
the App Store for Apple, because a
Right.
lot of people just aren't going to go that little extra mile of, depending on how, and we don't even know how hard it's going to be to enable side loading on iOS if it's ever allowed.
Right.
So, but people don't want to go that extra mile. In fact, this is just a little side note, but I don't know if you saw that the other day, Mozilla Firefox was, like, there's some other Firefox was allowed into the Microsoft Store, and they made a big deal about it. Mozilla made a big deal about it because they are, I think, the first third-party browser that was allowed in the store, at least the first third-party browser with a different rendering engine than Edge uses.
Okay.
So they made a big deal about this, and I got their press release, and they were really pitching it to us. And my thought was, who cares? You could have downloaded Firefox on your PC and installed it. But their press release said, and this I'll never forget, said something like, without going through the hassle of downloading and actually installing the app, you can just click something in the Microsoft Store. And I was thinking, like, how much of a hassle is it to just download and install software on a PC?
Weird.
So
I guess
if
there's
they think
no.
that's a hassle,
I guess there's no UAC if you if you download it from the store.
if they think that, like, people would have to know to go to our website and download it. Like,
Yeah, they'd have to know, how computers have worked since the beginning.
yeah, I mean, if you're that ignorant about technology, about computers, you probably won't be installing. You probably wouldn't know about Firefox, and you probably wouldn't want to install it.
Firefox in particular.
Right?
Because
That's not the
at least Chrome is a household name. You know what I mean?
right.
Firefox is
Right.
not. Weird.
Right.
Speaking of side loading, though, did you see Tim Cook had a quote this week? If you want to side load apps, buy an Android phone.
Okay, I will.
That was a pretty blunt response to the laws that are
Sold.
currently on the books. I just thought that was a really funny, like, I'm all in. This is the way it works. I don't want to do it. You're not going to make me do it.
Right.
So sounds strangely Elon Musky to me, which is interesting because he's real like no. Okay. Yeah. Tim Cook has never like been that guy, you know. Steve Jobs was throwing the iPhone 4 at the designer because he didn't like the white. Yeah, Steve Jobs was the no kind of guy, but Tim Cook seems like a. I'll let the other guys be hard nosed for me. It's just an interesting, seemingly out of context or out of character, maybe, quote for him that I really liked. It was fun. Anyway, like I said, this trial, well, this trial is over, but this case is long from over. We will continue to follow it because, I don't know, we've enjoyed the topic, so I can't imagine that that's going to change. This week's Piltch Point with Avram Piltch is proudly powered by PureVPN. The best way to protect your privacy online is with PureVPN. You can hide your online activities, say goodbye to regional restrictions, and improve your streaming quality. Plus, it's available for almost all of your devices. You can get a special price with a 31-day money-back guarantee by going to piltchpoint.live/PureVPN. All right, so you teased it at the top of the show that you've got something to show off today that I'm very excited about. What have you got?
All right, so a little bit of a introduction. As we all know, protective masks are a big part of our lives. No matter how you feel about them, they are required in many places. And many people want a mask want a better quality mask to give them either more features or better protection or something. So there's been not a ton of innovation going on but there's been a few smart masks that have been developed, and this is the latest one. And the reason that I'm covering it, even though I'm not a med tech person, is because it's from Razer. Now, Razer, Razer, you may recognize as one of the world's leading peripheral vendors. They make keyboards, they make mice, they also make laptops, they make quite a few things, and now they make a mask. This mask. This is the Razer Zephyr. This is a mask that has a number of really interesting features on it. I'll go over the features and I'll put it on because I don't know if this will affect your ability to hear me when I put it on. So first of all, I've worn this for a little bit, not a long period of time. My colleague Andrew Friedman did a full review of this, which you can find on Tom's Hardware. He had some real mixed feelings about it, but let's talk about it first. So it's $99, which is not terrible for something that's a reusable product, although it has 3 filters in it that you need to buy from Razer, and you can buy them in little packs like this. I think it's like $10, and each of these filters lasts for 3 days. So you definitely would, if you were using this every day, you would probably, be spending $20, $30 a month on filters. So the mask has a few really neat features that you don't see elsewhere. First of all, you'll notice the front is clear. That means that you can see someone's lips through it. So they can, all these issues that people have with not being able to read lips, not seeing somebody's facial expression, this solves for that. It also has two fans. So these side pieces here have fans under them, and this is where the filters come in. you change the filters, which are underneath here. There's like a magnetic thing holding in place, and so these are the intake, and this is the outtake, and this also has a little filter under it. And the idea is that the fans bring cool air in, so it makes it should make it a bit more comfortable than a lot of other masks. It also has RGB, so there are lights on each of these rings here that you can control with an app over Bluetooth, as you control the fans over Bluetooth, and there's also light inside. If you turn it around, you can see inside. It's a little bit like one of those things that if you've ever used a CPAP or like an oxygen mask at the hospital or something, it's got this kind of rubber stuff. Now, I have to say, this can really dig into your top of your nose, even though it is very soft. I think it's like silicone. And we obviously haven't tested this for long periods of time to see if this is going to last for months or years, or you're going to have to be able to replace a piece or something. Originally, when this was shown at CES last year, it had a really fancy band in the back. They decided to cut the cost of this, and so it just uses pretty cheap elastic system where it just goes here and there, which is not as cool as the prototypes that they showed. It also does not have some special disinfectant thing like the original prototype that they showed had like you'd put it and it would have like ultraviolet light or something you put on it to disinfect. This does not have that. But it is pretty neat. Now you'll see it. Now let me try it on for you. And but before I do that, let me fire up the app, because there's an app, and I will show you the Razer Zephyr app. Why is it not? Oh, it's under Z for Zephyr. Okay, not R for Razer. So, got to turn on. Supposedly, this gets about 8 hours of battery life. Although, let's see. Is it in pairing mode? We don't want it in pairing mode. No, it's coming on. All right. Let's see. Reconnecting. Can you see?
Yep.
Reconnecting. Okay, it's connected. So you can see there's not a lot of options, right? There's, maybe you can't see easily on the camera. There's the fan speed, high or low. We'll put it on low to start. There's a fan speed, high or low. And then there's the internal lighting and external lighting settings, which you can control either. There's only a few effects. You can have a solid, you can have a breathing, a static, which is just a solid color, or spectrum. And that's the extent of it. And then you can have the same thing for the internal light.
It's interesting how similar the UI for that is to the UI for the Monster Luminescence stuff.
Really? So, yeah, okay.
Almost identical.
I won't hear you for a second because I'm going to try to put this on. And I'll try to put the headphones on after I put it on. So give me a sec. You can witness me putting it on.
This will be interesting. I'm excited about this.
Part of the hands-on. So
and part of the mystique. All right. So
there's two straps here, and this one goes on first in the back, under your ear, and then there's this one. This one goes behind you, and there's like a little drawstring that you see, a drawstring you use to tighten. And let's try with the headphones. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes. And it sounds.
How muffled do I sound?
It sounds less like a McDonald's drive-thru than I was expecting.
Now this is on the low fan speed. I will try on the high fan speed just to see how much noisier it is. Okay, can you hear the higher fan speed?
Not even a little bit.
You definitely could hear it here. Now,
there it is. Well, your microphone is doing some noise cancellation on you.
Yes. It's doing
I hear it a little bit now. I pushed my earbuds in a little bit more, and now I can hear it a little bit if I'm listening for it.
Now the internal
what actually is probably smarter would be that you turn off the light, and you probably get longer battery life if you turn off the lighting. Um, so it smells a little rubbery in here, but you know, it's I don't like how it's pushing up my glasses a bit, but that's a problem, I guess, with a lot of masks. I could kind of pull it down a little bit. Um, Looking at the sides, it feels like they're pretty secure. I mean, I don't like the adjustment thing because it's all this drawstring. It's like a drawstring bag almost. Um, the biggest problem with this, I have to say, is the peripheral vision. So it's heavy, a little heavy, not very heavy, but very heavy compared to a regular mask. And the peripheral vision of, like, looking down in front of you. If you want to look down, you gotta move your head. You can't because this is sticking out, so it's gonna block your like downward peripheral vision. Um, you know, so I'm not sure. I wish I could make it a little brighter because the lights. I think it needs to be like dark to really for you to really see the RGB effect. But the question is, why would you buy this? So, I mean, in theory, having these fans would make it easier to breathe. However, I have to say, I'm not really feeling it. You know, I mean, it's not bad. It's pretty good for breathing, but I don't know if it is significantly better than my regular mask.
Okay.
Um, Now, I should say that I don't use a cloth mask. For my daily driver, I use what's called a KF94 mask, and the KF94 mask is from Korea, and it's kind of a box shape, and so it gives you a space sort of like this does, but not bulbous like this, and so like I get decent airflow in that, and I think that actually before I had tried this on, I thought, oh man, this might look geeky, but it might be make me comfortable wearing a mask all day. And I have to say, it's like more of a weight on my face, and the air flow, even on the high speed, is not. It's not like a fan is coming in. The other thing that's really, really, really important to note. Now, I mean, one thing that this has, I wish every mask had, is the clear business, but I don't know how easy
Hmm.
is it to see my lips.
Um,
Maybe I need the internal lighting on again. Let's
I was gonna say,
turn the
so
internal lighting on.
it does
There
appear.
it is.
There we go. Okay, so now I can see. I'm getting a little reflection of the monitor, um,
Hmm.
which is creating a little bit of like a one way mirror.
Hmm.
But no, generally I can see your lips even through the camera and with the one way mirror thing happening.
Just
So
for a second here, just for edification, let me turn off the light and see if can you see the
yes,
RGBs any better?
oh yeah, significantly better. When it goes to a dark
Yeah.
color like it is now, it's a little washed, but the blue is real clear. Whatever it is now is not. The yellow or white that it's on right now is pretty clear. Whatever it's on now is not. So it's going between a light color and a dark color. And when it goes to the dark color, it's completely gone in the camera. But I would imagine in person
Yeah.
it's probably a little stronger than dealing with auto adjusting lights and all the weird stuff that cameras do.
So what I don't like, and I haven't used this a ton before today, although my colleague wore it for hours, so he really is there's kind of a rubbery feel and smell inside. And I mean, with any mask you have the issue of you get sweaty in there and smell it or whatever. But I just had this on for a couple of minutes, and I don't know. I guess the rubbery thing here is a little rubbery smell. Perhaps the most important thing though is we don't know how well this protects you.
Right.
Um, that actually is the most important thing. Hold on a second. I'm gonna take this off so we can look at it a little closer again.
Okay. I would like to point out for our viewers and listeners that my favorite
So
takeaway from what Avram just said was when he first put it on, he said, and I quote, "It smells a little rubbery in here," and I actually
yeah,
laughed
so
out loud.
yeah, because
that
you have because it's like this, you have this rubbery substance here, and it's pressed against your face, unlike say a paper substance or whatever. So and it's so the thing though is what we don't know about this for sure is we don't know how safe it is. Razer makes no claims. They actually call it a wearable air purifier, but but let's be for real here. Nobody wears a mask because they're worried about like having a nicer set of air or like pollen. They wear a mask because they either are worried about COVID or they're required to wear a mask because of COVID, but they don't wear a mask for any reason except for COVID. So to call something a wearable air purifier is, it's kind of a CYA move. Like, well, we haven't had this tested. We can't guarantee anything. Use at your own risk. Now, at the same time, it's probably more effective than a cloth mask. But these filters, and I'll show you a filter up close. These filters are quote unquote N95 style. But what does that really mean? Well, first of all, we could go back and talk for a second about what the N95 is, because I was just explaining this to my 9-year-old over bedtime. These are the bedtime conversations we have. N95 is certified by NIOSH as being able to um, basically keep out 95% of tiny particles, which would include germs. Now, this is N95 style. It's not certified as anything. And what we also don't know, besides the filter, is what about the areas around the filter? Can stuff get in through? Oops, see the filter fell right out. There's the fan underneath. Can stuff get through here? Can germs get through? What about the sides? What about the top? Like, sure, the filter may or may not be 95% effective, but we don't care about the filter. We care about the mask, right? Also, when you have a fan pulling air in, it actually needs to be better, not worse, because now you're testing the filtration more, because you're actually pulling more in. So what I have here, I will show briefly if I can pull one out. One of my daily driver masks. So this here is a KF94 mask, and there are a couple websites you can buy these from. One is called Be Healthy USA, and one is called Collecta, KOLLECT, or ECTE, and these are Korean. So N95 is America's standard, KN95 is China's standard, and KF94 is Korea's standard. Now, if you get them from a reputable seller, which Amazon, the various sellers on Amazon are not necessarily reputable and maybe selling you a ripoff, these are supposed to be really, really good. There's a guy on YouTube named Aaron Collins, you can look him up, who actually is an aerosol scientist that tests these, and he's tested them like trying to shoot particles through them, whatever, and found that like he has a spreadsheet online that you can look at, and this brand that I have here, Botan, is 99.1% or something effective at preventing particles from coming through. So, but Razer doesn't make any claims like that at all, and no one has tested this that we know of. I actually wrote to Mr. Collins and I asked him, "Hey, if I sent you one of these, could you test it with your aerosol stuff?" And he said, "I'd love to know how it works, but I'm too busy right now." So, so we don't know. But
that's a shame.
My recommendation to folks would be, if you're concerned about safety and and comfort, actually don't get one of these. It's a cool idea. especially the fact that people can see your lips through it, which is something that, we haven't seen on too many other products. But instead, I would recommend for folks who really care about their mask, and this isn't really a high tech recommendation, that they get a disposable, high quality mask like a KF94 or a KN95 from a reputable seller. And these actually are more comfortable than cloth masks because they give you some breathing space in front of your face. And they don't have fans sucking things in, and they don't use any electricity, but they give you a lot better peripheral vision than this thing. And the cost of these is about $1 a mask if you buy them in bulk. So I bought 100 of these for $100. And, you wear it for a day and you throw it away. And, that, yes, that adds up over time. But if you're worried about your safety, then a cloth mask is about 50% effective. A surgical mask is maybe 70 to 80% effective. And these are, over 95% effective, often according to these tests, 99% effective at blocking particles coming into you. So anyway, long story short, I applaud Razer for the effort here, but without showing us the actual safety of the mask. I mean, again, maybe you're one who is less concerned about safety and more concerned about comfort, but I have to tell you, it's not even that comfortable. Like, it's probably more comfortable than a cloth mask initially, until you've had it sitting on your face for a while and weighing you down. But I actually found that these no fan or whatever are actually more comfortable, better breathing, more kind of space in front of your face. I think the number one thing that you can do to have a comfortable mask is have one that is kind of box shaped, so it provides some space in front of your nose and isn't pressed up right against your nose. But I do want to encourage companies to come out to innovate, because even after the mask mandates are over, there will be people who will want to wear a mask. And if you have been to various countries in Asia, as I've been to Taiwan many times, there were long before there was COVID, there were people wearing masks everywhere they went. And I used to hear, oh, they're wearing masks because if you're sick, you're supposed to wear a mask. It would be rude if you were coughing and sneezing. But even if you're wearing a low quality mask, that protects other people, and that's great. But if you wear a high quality mask, you can also protect yourself from other folks. And I think even after COVID becomes less of an issue and we go back to, I guess, some semblance of normalcy, if I'm going to the store, I'll probably still want to put on one of these, because you know what? Who wants to get sick? Whether it's COVID or the flu or whatever the next pandemic is, there's I think masks are going to continue to be things that people want, both in the United States and elsewhere. And so there's going to continue to be a need for innovation. And I'm curious about some of the other innovations we've seen. There's a company called Microclimate Air that makes one. I'd love to try this. It's like $300 and it looks like an astronaut helmet over your face. But again, the heavier they get, the more you have bulkiness and limits your peripheral vision.
It's always an interesting topic, especially for myself talking with somebody in some other states, because here, I don't know, I can't, other than during Roboticon, I can't tell you the last time I saw somebody out and about wearing a mask.
Well, I'm in New York. Just to remind our audience, I'm in New York here, where they take the mask stuff very seriously, and I'm cool with that, because frankly, we still have a lot of people around here who have it, and I don't want to be bringing it home to my kids who are not vaccinated yet. So, um, you know, so people are obviously, there's various levels of mask discipline. I ride the Long Island Railroad every day, and I'd say about 90% of people are wearing masks, but like there's still 10% who are not, and all it takes is one of those people to have COVID and breathe in the air that you're breathing in, and you could get sick. So, yeah, obviously, I'm a big fan of protect yourself, protect your family. Uh, Obviously, there's risk. There's risk everywhere, and you've got to decide what level of risk you're comfortable with. Um, when you have a higher quality mask, it's easier to go places, and even if you're the only one wearing a mask, if it's a good quality mask, then you are still protecting yourself, not as much as if everybody was wearing a mask, but you're still protecting yourself. If you're wearing a cheap cloth mask, then you're mostly protecting other people from you. But if you're wearing a high efficiency mask, then you're also protecting yourself. This is touts itself as being N95 quality, but without any testing or any real assurances. They don't actually doubt the mask as being N95 quality. I should say they tout the filters, which we can't guarantee are actually covering all of the access points. So, yeah, I mean, but it's interesting that Razer tried this, and you know what? Just in the context of Razer shows a lot of stuff at CES and never comes out with it. And I think a lot of people's reaction to this Zephyr was like, wow, they actually did it. They came out with it. Good for them. And these have been selling out like crazy. Like they have different drops of them, and people have been selling them on eBay for ridiculous amounts of money. And my 2 cents on this is like, I was really excited about this when I first heard about it, not because it was Razer, but because I thought it would be more comfortable with the fans. And I like the idea of them seeing my lips, but it's not. If it looked comfortable to you when I was wearing it, it's over the long haul. It's not comfortable. Right. It's not comfortable enough to be wearing it all day.
And I believe that that Andrew spent a lot of time wearing it. There's probably content
he did.
out there about it.
Yes, we have a review of it, and again, he has the same. I mean, his big issue, and like I said, I haven't worn this for hours at a time, was he was actually getting it was hurting the top of his nose a bit. I tried this on my 9-year-old son today. I took some pictures, and he got a little red mark on his nose for a few minutes. I am really looking forward, though, to having to putting up my profile picture with this on. If I could wear this plus those no HTC glasses or whatever, I'd be so golden in terms of just having a cyborg look. I wish I had these for Halloween. I totally would have gone trick-or-treating in them.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that combined with the Vive fly glasses would be fantastic.
Yeah, that's what I would like to wear them together. I would like to wear them together. Like I had high hopes. I mean, I think I like the idea of it. I really do. And I'd like to see places keep innovating and trying stuff, because not everyone is going to want to wear a mask. Not everyone's going to want to wear a mask, particularly when they don't have to. But I think that you're going to see some portion of the public continue to wear masks protectively when they go out to the store or other places where they're around strangers in public.
Yeah, for sure. The one that I think we talked about it recently. The one that I'm interested in seeing in action is the Atmos. It's been pending a long time, because we had them on the show at CES 2020, and it's still in pre-order mode right now, which it was when I wrote the summary, which published April 9th, 2020, which is disappointing. I would love to see this thing in action, and I'm going to try and contact them. If I can get my hands on one, I'll write a review in our format and in your format.
Yeah, I mean, I there's a lot of really neat attempts at it, and I think the number one thing that people would like to see from their mask is transparency, right? I mean, it would be nice if they.
This one's fascinatingly like completely open, with like an air thing that happens across the. PLUGHITZlive.com/CES/2020. Go there. You'll see the interview and you'll see the actual hardware, and there's a whole explanation on how it works. It is fascinating. I want to try one because I want people to look and go, "What in the hell is that?"
Yeah, I mean, for sure, a lot of people will say that if you wear this.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
and what's the retail on that guy?
It's not that expensive. If you can get it in stock, it's only $99. It's the cost of the filters that will get you over time. But it is a very, like, it comes boxed up nicely. It definitely feels like a premium Razer product. Okay. It's just, the concept of it's a little heavy and rubbery for my taste. Oh, also it comes with this little thing, which you spray on to keep the lip part from fogging up.
Okay.
This defogger stuff.
Got it.
But
interesting.
Maybe I'll try it again for a longer period of time. I think the lack of peripheral vision is enough for me not to wear it to work.
Yeah, that's
like, I have no shame. I would be caught on the subway or caught in my job like this. I have no shame about that.
I know you would. and I would be excited to be the one out there looking crazy with the crazy steampunk mask all the time.
Yeah, I mean,
which is why I'm watching the video play over here, which is why I keep pointing over here. Which is why I want to see this thing in action, because it's wild.
Yeah.
I do not mind.
What I really want is just a spacesuit.
Crazy. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, you got to watch out for those hazmat suits, though. Dwight Schrute went and put a pair of scissors through them. Anyway, as per usual, Avram, thank you. This is an interesting product that not everybody can get their hands on because they're having, like you said, they're selling out almost as quickly as they can drop them. So I appreciate you showing it off. It's a shame that it's not the exciting product that we had hoped, but it is definitely the goofy product that I had hoped. So there's definitely that. And as always, I look forward to what we talk about next. This week's Extra Life on F5 Live is proudly powered by Loot Crate. Whether you're a gamer, anime fan, or pop culture aficionado, Loot Crate has got a crate for you. They curate a bundle of collectibles, apparel, figures, and more that you can't find anywhere else. They get delivered directly to your door. It is like getting an awesome birthday present from yourself every month. And to learn more about the crates that are available and discounts that are going on, you can go to f5live.tv/lootcrate. We talk about Netflix a lot. This will be the first time that we have a conversation about them in this section of the show. Netflix Gaming is officially available for iOS and Android. If you don't know, Netflix Games is similar to Apple Arcade or Google Play Pass, where you get... you've got your subscription, you get games included, there's no in-app purchases, the whole game is available for you, but the difference is that A, it's from Netflix, and so it's not directly from your store, and B, it's included in your Netflix subscription. Interestingly, during the writing process of this article, things changed. To the best of my knowledge, I wrote an explanation on how to access Netflix games in the article, and I can't replicate it today. So let me tell you how it was supposed to work and how it's working right now. It's supposed to be on your bottom tab bar. There should be a games category. You tap it, and it should take you and show you a list of games, trailers below it. You click the game, you get full details, and then you can go to your store to download it. And I guess you sign in with your Netflix account, and it knows who you are. It knows what language you have selected on Netflix. If you don't have one selected, or English is your selection, it will go to English. If you do have one selected, the games will try to localize to your language. Not every language is theoretically supported, but they want to be able to support this to as many gamers as possible, which I think is pretty cool. That is not exactly how it's been working. Now, I am going to grab my phone while I'm talking right now. I'm going to open Netflix and see if we're back to normal.
I'm going to do the same.
Okay, no. The search icon has come back on the bottom bar, which it had left the bottom bar while I was writing this article, and it has returned. Instead, what you do is you scroll down, and there is a content row. For me, it has been averaging either the 4th or 5th row. Right now, it's the 4th. Last night, it was the 5th. And it says it's got the Netflix N and then the word games, and there you can see the games that are available. Currently, there are 6, but the plan is to have more with time. And they really are like supporting as many people as possible. You've got the games tab at the bottom?
Yes, I do.
All right. Well, I'm going to open the Android device now and do this again. Because
and I indeed have the 6 games that you said.
Okay. Oh, it's on my Android device now. I have never seen it on the Android device. I had only seen it on the iPhone, but it is absolutely on my Android device now. It was not last night.
Now, I'm not going to check this while we're on the air, but I want to know if you know this. Are any of these games available anywhere else?
Let me do a little bit here, and then we'll see if that answers your question, because I don't know. I don't entirely know what you're asking, but I think I'm about to answer it anyway. So,
okay.
So Xbox Game Pass and Facebook Gaming, right? They were prevented from being in the iOS store because of the way they work, right? They're a fully internal game catalog that runs independent of the stores. Netflix has taken a different tact here. When you click on one of these games, it takes you to your device's app store. So if you're on Android, it takes you to the Android store. If you're on iPhone, it takes you to the Apple App Store. And you download the game from there, and then you log in with your Netflix account to unlock all of the content. I believe that many of these games don't require a Netflix subscription to be able to play, but there is the possibility of in-app purchases for features. But if you're a Netflix subscriber, you get all of it for free. For example, one of the games that's on there, well, there's 2 Stranger Things games, right? And I believe that at least one, if not both, are in the Xbox store with in-app purchases. So that's your difference. That's how they got around what Microsoft and Facebook were dealing with. Apple said, if you put them in the store and allow us to track all of the games and approve them, then we'll allow you to do this. But Microsoft can't really do that because of the way it works. But Netflix could. So you can skip the Netflix app entirely and just go to Google Play or to the App Store and search for the games and find them yourself. So, did that answer your question, Avram?
Yes. Yes. So
Okay.
the answer is you don't need Netflix to get these games, but you might get the benefit of things you would otherwise pay for in terms of in-app purchases.
Exactly. So it's very in that way. It is exactly um, like Apple Arcade or Google Play Pass, in that the apps are available and you could download the games yourself if you wanted to. But if you have the subscription, then you get the in-app purchases for free. So it's a cool idea. Obviously, anything Stranger Things is something that is going to appeal to me. I did a Pikmin Bloom live stream the day that one came out, and I'm thinking maybe PLUGHITZ Live Unplugged episode in the near future. I might fire up the Stranger Things game. One of them, there's two, and play that on stream as well. We'll see. But yeah, it's a cool idea. Several of the games are ones that are interesting to me. Obviously, both of the Stranger Things ones. There is looks like a physics puzzle game called Teeter Up that looks like a lot of fun, and I feel like I shouldn't install it, mostly because I feel like I'm going to lose time to it.
Yeah. I spend enough time. I waste enough time in my life playing a bubble pop game that I really, really shouldn't. Like, the amount of hours of my life that I've played that, but it's always at kind of a downtime time. Like, oh, I'm on the train.
I was
Okay,
going to
what am I
say,
going to do?
train time.
Or oh, but yeah, there's many times I've just been kind of sitting around like they're playing like this bubble pop game that I've been playing for like the last year, and I don't need another thing like that to involve me. It's bad enough how many millions of hours I've spent popping bubbles, but uh but anyway, yeah, I would like to see. I mean, it would be nice if there was something like this where you could actually have a Netflix of games. I mean, there have been things like this before, like GameFly or whatever,
Gamefly.
where you could rent games. I mean, if it was allowing you to do this with, I mean, it would be lovely to combine this sort of thing with NVIDIA GeForce Now.
Right. Which,
Where
in
the whole
theory, that concept is kind of what Xbox Game Pass is, right? Because you've got Xbox games, you got PC games, you got mobile games. You can stream PC games on mobile. That's kind of what Xbox Game Pass is. Certainly on the Ultimate side, and a lot of people are getting into this space because every time I get a quarterly, wrap up of what the gaming space is doing, and it is only going up. So it makes sense. And with something like this, Netflix has been doing a lot of like cross promotional stuff. They're working with Walmart on merchandise that'll be available in Walmarts nationwide, and they've got these tie-in games. It makes sense to me. So,
yeah. The question: what other Netflix property would you want to see gamified?
Would I want to see gamified, or do I think is probably next?
I guess either one.
Because Squid Game is next. Guaranteed.
A game of that? I don't know.
If I had to put money down on something, I would say that's their next property. What would I like to see? They've got a great sci-fi universe created in Black Mirror. That would be fun, and it could be done episodic the way Telltale Games used to do. So there'd be a lot of fun that could be had in there. I don't know. That one's been in my head.
Umbrella Academy.
Technically,
I mean, although I don't know what the game would be.
Technically not theirs, so it would be a little complicated.
Because
they'd have to license from Black Horse? Is it Black Horse that owns Umbrella Academy? Anyway, they'd have to license for another medium, And it seems like the owner would probably put that game out, but I could see Netflix teaming up with them to put the game out and then make it available in Netflix games.
Yeah, I mean, on the other hand,
But I don't know what it would be.
That show is not necessarily gamified. I don't know. Yeah, it's a good question. These are all mobile games, so it's hard for me to see like what's the what you really want out of it.
Yeah.
Oh, I have one here.
Go ahead. I can't wait.
Here's my $1 million suggestion. They should make a trivia game that is branded with the movies or toys that made us series, which I very strongly recommend if you haven't seen them, especially the movies that made us.
What an interesting idea that is. It's a great idea. And of course, that would be a smart move. Trivia games are gaining in popularity again, so much so that Xbox is considering bringing back 1 versus 100. Please. This phone still rings with the 1 versus 100 theme song because of the Xbox game.
Yeah.
Although its text tone is the orange portal gun. And this one's text tone is the blue. Anyway. Yeah. So trivia games are real good. That would be a good way to do it. If they could figure out how to do a game version of the Circle, I bet they'd have success. Because that show's real popular. And Survivor has gotten into like a second screen type experience with a trivia game happening during the show. So maybe there'd be a way to do that too. Yeah, there's properties that they could rely on. It would be interesting. I would bet a lot on Squid Game being the next one, because they're desperately trying to capitalize on that. But they do have some properties that would work, as opposed to just trying to capitalize on. But yeah, the 6 that are out there now are just the beginning. They're bringing more games in the near future, and I cannot wait to spend some time with these games. I'm legitimately excited about it. This week's news from the tubes and F5 Live is proudly powered by Malwarebytes. Whether you use a PC, a Mac, or a mobile device, Malwarebytes Premium is their strongest protection ever. It fights threats that traditional antivirus software can't stop, as well as things like worms and trojans and exploits and bots and a whole lot more. It allows you to use your computer and mobile devices with confidence and peace of mind. To learn more and to get a special price, you can go to f5live.tv/malwarebytes. So, legal topics it is. Google has been dealing with anti-competitive and antitrust complaints across the globe. Even we've seen special legislation passed in many places targeting Google in particular. We kind of always go back to Spain's Google tax on Google News that ended up going away because they just pulled out of the country entirely. But when it comes to search, Google always seems to be in trouble. The fact that they include their own services, sometimes prioritizing them, has annoyed people across the globe, both users and governments. And this week we have 2 different instances of governments being annoyed by that business practice. The first is here in the United States. There is a new bill. It's not Google specific, but it's certainly targeted at Google as one of its targets. It's called the Ending Platform Monopolies Act. And one of the things that they talk about is search specifically. The end result of this bill is questionable. It's kind of a a continuation of the campaign that Elizabeth Warren ran during 2020, where she said that Google, Facebook, and I feel like two others, I don't remember who now, should be broken up. She had a graphic. It's in our graphics library somewhere. This is kind of a continuation of that theory. I don't know that a single bill would manage to break up a company like Google, let alone Google, Facebook, and whoever else they had on their target. But it is definitely, I think the thing that matters is that it's a sign of a shift, right? In legislation where they're actually looking pretty hard at Google instead of holding their hand a little bit like had happened in the past. What do you think, Avram?
Yeah, I mean, but I don't see these things going anywhere.
No.
I just don't. I don't think, I mean, whether obviously there's legit concerns about a business as large as Google, which basically has the market power to make sure that like the advertising they sell, their ad network, their stuff does better than other people's. But I think they would have. I think if the government is going to do something, they would have to do it with a bit of a softer touch, because I just think that it's not going to, any attempt to break up a company or use antitrust law is going to be very difficult. We saw what happened with Microsoft 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I just don't foresee with the balance of different courts that we have, and who's sitting on them, and the balance of power that we have, there being enough of a consensus across both sides of the aisle to do this, even if let's say politicians on both sides of the aisle maybe dislike some of these companies like Google or Facebook. I don't think that they agree on how to regulate them or with the idea of breaking them up. Right. So I think that the best that they could do is try to do things perhaps via consent decree or something like that. Like, look, you got to take this small step to ensure a little bit more fairness.
Yeah.
Because there's just not like in the EU, there is an appetite for this. In the EU, there is consensus. So
absolutely. We're going to talk about that one next.
Right. There is consensus, but in the US, there's not. And you need very significant consensus to make this type of a sweeping change to a large business, because you need to make sure that, first of all, when it goes all the way through the courts and it goes to the Supreme Court, there's a good chance it'll be upheld. When the balance of power shifts and there's another party has more more in charge, because these things could take years and years and years and years and many election cycles to go through. So I would not.
It's been a long time since the party that holds the White House manages to hold the House midterm. So the House is likely to switch in a year. So they have a very short window to try and use a very slim majority to simply get stepped on.
Right.
12 months.
It's also, it would have to make it through. It'd have to make it through the filibuster in the Senate right now. It's not gonna. They shouldn't even try. It's not gonna happen. So
I totally agree, but I think the Ending Platform Monopolies Act is more of a political statement than it is an actual attempt at a successful bill. To kind of show we're on to you. You know, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like a bit of a "we're on to you" statement, more than it is that anybody expects this to go anywhere. And I looked up the graphic, by the way. Amazon was the third company that I was missing. Her graphic was, "It's time to break up Amazon, Google, and Facebook."
Right.
So.
Right. Exactly. So it's unlikely to go anywhere, because there's just not there would need to be a significant political consensus to do it, and there absolutely is not. It is 100%. I think most people would agree it is sad that it is of some concern that one company has such a dominant position in search, because like search is the big application on the internet, and to be fair, Bing does not have a significant market share.
Mm-hmm.
There's really nobody else at a significant market share. DuckDuckGo isn't worrying anybody, right?
Yeah. Brave Search isn't worrying anybody.
Right. So
although I've been using Brave Search and I really like it.
Right. I mean, there's people who like these things, but the thing is, if you're running a business and you want your business to be found, and that's what people care about, then you optimize for Google. You don't optimize for Bing. You don't optimize for Brave. You care about your rankings in Google.
Right. Absolutely. And as a multi-year, long-term Bing user, since before it was even called Bing, I have done optimizations on PLUGHITZ Live for Bing, but we focus on Google. I have not, until the image, the screenshot that I grabbed for the header image of this article, I have not done a Google search in years. So, and I still worry about optimizing the website for Google. So yes, absolutely. Because it's the way to be found, and it's a shame. But you mentioned the EU, and it's our next bit of this story. The EU does seem to be a little ahead of the US, if we're saying that this is a slow-moving arrow, which it may or may not be. The EU is way down the line on this topic, because they started an investigation in 2009 that filed charges in 2017 specifically about search, and Google's placement of Google shopping results, which at the time was just a pay-to-play. It was just an advertising thing. It wasn't an aggregate like it is kind of today. And they prioritized Google shopping results inside of Google search. Their equivalent of an antitrust case was filed in 2017. Google lost. Another appeal was just lost this week, upholding the $2.8 billion fine. Google only has one more possible appeal ahead of it, and that is to the EU's equivalent of the Supreme Court, which they call the European Court of Justice. And based on past track record and current sentiment in the EU, like Avram just mentioned, it is unlikely that they will win there either. So $2.8 billion, I mean, it's a lot for you and I. It's less for them, but $2.8 billion is still a lot of money. That's about half of YouTube's total revenue this past quarter. So I mean, that's a hit to the pocketbook. So they will almost certainly appeal. We'll see if the court takes up the appeal or not, but I don't know. It doesn't seem likely to me, since, like you said, Avram, the sentiment there is different than it is here. So we will see, and as always, we will keep our eye on the topic. This week's DRM Not Included in F5 Live is probably powered by Amazon Prime. You know you get free shipping, but you get a whole lot more. You get free music with Amazon Prime Music. You get free TV, movies, and documentaries with Amazon Prime Video. You get free video games and a free Twitch subscription that you can use to help support our coverage at Amazon Prime Gaming, and a whole lot more. If you don't know how these features work or you want quick links, we've got those, and a 30-day free trial if you're not already a Prime subscriber, and all of that is available by going to f5live.tv/prime. I think Friday was Disney Plus Day. That means that Disney followed in the footsteps of DC a month ago in showing off and announcing a lot of new content coming to their platform. They showed off Marvel stuff. They showed off Lucasfilm, mostly Star Wars stuff, Pixar, and Disney proper, all kinds of stuff. And just like DC, like I said, there's a lot of things. Agatha, House of Harkness, on the Marvel side was the thing that kind of struck me as the most interesting. I've always been a fan of Catherine Hahn's. Everything she's ever been in, she's both funny and serious, and she's just a great actor. So more of her seems like a win to me. Were you a fan of her character?
I mean, honestly, I know a lot of people really liked WandaVision. It was okay. I wasn't as excited I watched the whole series. I wasn't as blown away by it as others. I like some of the other Marvel series that have come since then more, like Loki and
I felt
Falcon
like
and Winter Soldier.
I felt like she was better than the series.
Yes, true. So I think pretty much any live action Marvel thing they put there I will watch, so I'm sure I'll watch it. I'm sure I will watch it, but I was more interested to see the latest look at She-Hulk, which we knew was coming, and Ms. Marvel, which we knew was coming. So but we got very little bit more information on those.
Yeah.
I think that's good.
A
lot of animated titles.
I am looking forward to, for all the wrong reasons, the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, because the Star Wars holiday special was such a disaster that Lucas himself has dedicated his life to destroying all evidence that it ever existed.
Except there's a great documentary on Disney Plus that I just saw yesterday, called Boba Fett Behind the Helmet, or Under the Helmet, and I think it just went up. I think it's new
as part of Disney Plus Day. As part of Disney Plus Day, it was released.
Because I think they're doing that because Book of Boba Fett show is coming on December 29th, right? So being a big Boba Fett fan since back in the day when I was desperate to get a Boba Fett action figure when they first came out, I watched that, and the real introduction of Boba Fett was in the Star Wars Christmas special. So they were showing some footage from the Star Wars Christmas special in this documentary. So, that's sort of, depending on whether you count a parade, that is the first appearance of Boba Fett. So, obviously it's going to try to be
better than that.
It's just going to try to be funny.
Yeah. And the fact that it's gun both behind the pen and the camera is good, but that doesn't guarantee its success. Holiday specials are almost never a success from within a universe. It doesn't matter which one. So I can't wait for that reason. The one that Alante is most excited about is X-Men 97. He was a huge
Ah.
fan of the original series,
Yeah.
and the idea that they are essentially picking up where they left off, from what it sounds like. They didn't give a whole lot of information, but it definitely sounds like they're just picking up where they left off in the 90s and saying, go. So that universe, new stories, with hopefully that animation style, huge win. A lot of people have been talking about it ever since they made the announcement. I am also interested in not the actual series, but what it means. The Spider-Man freshman year, theoretically, the contract between the two ends at the end of this movie, but this suggests that it doesn't. Sony and Marvel / Disney have obviously worked out something, because the details of the contract extension were never really released publicly. Right. So this means, because this series is an animated series that takes place in the MCU and will be available as a Disney Plus exclusive, detailing Peter's life up to the first film. Which means... Oh, no. Which means that the two are obviously still working together, which I think is a good sign that we will continue to have our current Spider-Man going forward. And if we don't, that Miles, who was introduced, I think, in the first film, obviously has the intention to succeed current Spider-Man, will take over, and that he will continue to be in the MCU. Hurrah! Also, the Baymax series. If ever there were a Marvel character that deserved its own series, it's Baymax, because that movie did not get any of the credit that it deserved.
But there was a cartoon, a Big Hero 6 cartoon that was on for quite a long time that was based on the movie. So I guess I'm wondering how this will be different.
Yeah, it should be interesting. Again, very little information about a lot of these new projects, and that's all we have, is that there's very little information. On Star Wars, we did get to see some more of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, with Ewan McGregor back in his old role. That's going to be popular. It's going to take place between the end of Revenge of the Sith and the beginning of A New Hope, almost exactly between 10 years after Revenge of the Sith and 9 years before A New Hope. So literally almost dead set in the middle. A lot of people are excited about that. There's a Willow series coming. Now, I've got this under Star Wars because I think it's funny. The original movie, which stars Warwick Davis, the StarWars.com website in 2006 on April Fool's Day put up an article saying that it was confirmed that this movie took place on a particular planet in the Star Wars universe. And people were like, we understand this is an April Fool's joke, and we don't care. Canon. So yeah, there's a series coming. It is all but canon to be Star Wars. It is definitely Lucasfilm, though. So that's cool. Anytime we get to see Warwick Davis in action is always a treat. Under the Disney properties, though, apparently Disney hasn't gotten the memo that their live-action remakes of classics have been weirdly received at best. So, Pinocchio! They've done what they always do. They've front-loaded the cast with the likes of Tom Hanks, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and Keegan-Michael Key. But that
Which one is
worked.
Pinocchio?
A fair question. Tom Hanks was the first
Joseph
name
Gordon-Levitt?
listed. Tom Hanks was the first name listed. So I don't know.
I think Tom Hanks would be Geppetto.
I don't know if this can't be it. Because that's Tilda Swinton and Finn Wolfhard. Those must be something else. There we go. There are apparently two competing Pinocchio projects, both coming out in 2022, according to IMDb. Yeah. Tom Hanks is Geppetto. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is Jiminy Cricket.
Yeah.
Benjamin Evan Ainsworth is Pinocchio. Obviously a child and not one that has been in anything that I've encountered. Yeah, literally in nothing according to IMDb. So I also don't know who. Oh, Honest John is Keegan-Michael Key. Anyway, the live-action adaptations have not been great, so I don't know. But staying in that in that realm, Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers is going to be a film that's going to be a hybrid. Is it a film? Yes. It's a hybrid, partially animated and partially live action. I don't know. I don't know. I also don't know about John Mulaney and Andy Samberg as Chip 'n Dale. Yeah, the thing you just did with your eyes was all I needed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They every now and again. The thing is, your standards are. Well, I shouldn't say everyone's. My standards are much lower for movies I'll watch with my children than movies I would watch by myself. So I have seen some movies that were sort of live action with animated characters in them that I would sort of scoff at as an adult, but we actually really enjoyed watching with my kids. So, like the Tom and Jerry movie that came out earlier this year.
Sure.
Really, from every objective viewpoint, is not a good movie, but my son loved it and sat through it, and he sits through very few things, and so and it did nothing to offend me. It was like, oh, this is okay, this is cute, it's a cute idea. So I don't know, this like, you know, like we've seen the Smurfs movie and the Sonic movie and other movies where the premise is like, which sounds like this, that's what this sounds like, hybrid live and animated, right?
Yeah,
it like sounds they'll have an animated chipmunk and a live humans.
Yeah. The Sonic movie is kind of the realm that I see this living inside of. So
right.
Hopefully there won't have to be a fan write-in campaign to get them to re-render Chip 'n Dale like there was to get them to re-render Sonic. Because
do people care that much about Chip 'n Dale? About the rendering of Chip 'n Dale?
See, and
as they do with Sonic?
That's the thing, right? I don't know. Because I don't know who this is aimed at. Is it aimed at my generation looking for a nostalgic retelling of Chip 'n Dale? Or is it aimed at your son's generation? I don't know. So that will determine the feelings.
I think it's aimed at my son's generation, but they're thinking that the parents will turn it on for their kids because, like, oh yeah, these are my cartoon characters. Like that was the thing with me and like Tom and Jerry, right? I grew up watching Tom and Jerry cartoons. My son has not seen a ton of Tom and Jerry cartoons before that, but I was like, hey, Tom and Jerry, I like Tom and Jerry. We should watch Tom and Jerry together. So it's a kid's movie, but the adults will come through the door because with their kids. I think it's parents. That's what I think.
That makes sense. So I don't know. We'll see. Lots of other stuff. I summarized some of them. Enchanted is getting a sequel. Disenchanted. Hocus Pocus is getting a sequel 30 years later. Hocus Pocus 2. Diary of a Wimpy Kid is getting an animated series to complement the half dozen films that appear to be on Hulu. And then a whole bunch more. This is only some of the ones that stood out to me. They announced so much stuff that I obviously couldn't cover it all. But it does look like the next 12 to 18 months are going to be pretty wild for Disney Plus. Well, that is our show. Thank you to those of you who joined us live. We always appreciate our live viewers. If you didn't and would like to in the future, Sunday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, f5live.tv/join us. There you can chat with us, give us your feedback on the topics during the show. We always enjoy that. Also, if you join us over on Twitch or YouTube, and subscribe and hit the bell on YouTube or follow over on Twitch when we go live with our PLUGHITZ Live Unplugged content, you'll get a notification about that. We've got more of that coming. I mentioned earlier that I might do an Unplugged with some of the Netflix games. We've also got more of our blind react to holiday gift guides, hopefully coming this week. Also, a reminder that in the next probably 24 hours, the new tiers will exist on our YouTube channel. We've got our graphics all ready to go. So the tiered subscriptions will get you access to this show, The Piltch Point, without ads on a normal week. Plus, during special events like CES, you'll get all of the content as it's edited, not as it's published. So you'll get stuff sometimes weeks ahead of the general public. So definitely go check that out. We definitely went with the red shirt, blue shirt, yellow shirt tiering system. It will be the same on both YouTube and on Twitch. So the subscription levels over on Twitch will get you special emotes of the shirt colors, which will be fun. Anyway, lots of stuff coming up, and I cannot believe that CES is so close. I imagine we will probably be talking other gift stuff in the near future, possibly next week, maybe.
With Black Friday coming up, I think we'll be talking about. I will want to be talking about that next week.
Great. So be on the lookout for that. You can also, of course, subscribe to all of our shows, PLUGHITZLive.com/subscribe. And with that, on behalf of the staff that's not here, I'm Scott.
I'm Avram.
And we'll see you back next time. Ciao.